Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to have a conversation with you guys, a very real conversation about one of my favorite characters in the Naruto series, which is Shino Aburame. And I want to talk to you guys about Shino's wasted potential, and I want to update my stance on this based on some of the information that we got in the Boruto era that I previously didn't use when I covered Shino's wasted potential. And just to reiterate, this is not a series where I'm bashing Boruto, I'm bashing Naruto. That's not the case. This is just me looking at parts of the series when it comes to characters and plot points and just different opportunities and saying, I feel like better execution is something that could have benefited the series. And I feel like when it comes to Shino was hands down the most wasted character out of the Konoha 11. And for a long time, I felt like the Hyuga clan, in particular when it came to Neji, was probably the most wasted character out of the series, being Neji Hyuga. But as I did more thinking, I'm like, wait a second, that really belongs to Shino. And what I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that even when we first got introduced to Shino properly in the chunin exams, it became clear very early on, Shino was chunin level. Like, that is absolutely nuts. Shino was chunin level, and yet he never got an opportunity to display what he's capable of. Like, when it came to the fight with Kankuro gave up because of the whole plot that's happening with the Sound Village and the Sand Village working together to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village and kidnap Sasuke. Like, because that, Shino never got an opportunity to fight in front of a bunch of people. And during his battle with Kankuro after the fact, like, when you look at it, Shino, while he did put himself in danger, at the same time, Shino displayed a level of intellect and a level of reasoning that was clearly chunin level. Like, we saw him putting the step before the step before the step before the final move was put into place. And that's something that made the first part of Naruto so exciting, because your tactical skills were what were going to determine the outcome of the battle. It wasn't a whole pissing contest of my jutsu is flashier than yours, but instead it was about how you were able to integrate those jutsu into the fight, how you're able to incorporate them into the setting you were in. And even when he was fighting against, I believe it was Zaku from the Hidden Sound Village, even then when Shino was fighting, you saw that he had already set up the finishing move before the fight was even determined. And when you get to the Boruto era, when you get to that, there's this huge jump. Like, all during the second part of the Naruto series, we didn't see Shino do much of anything. Like, we saw him fight alongside members of his clan in a very brief moment where they cornered Konan during the Pain Invasion arc, but most of that happened off panel. And in the anime, most of that happened off screen. Like, when you look at what happened with Shino, even when they confronted Toby, even when that happened, Shino didn't do much of anything. And it was almost as if Kishimoto knew that he had wasted Shino. That was the whole reason why Shino was saying, well, this time I'm gonna be of use. I wasn't able to go on the last Sasuke rescue mission. And when you think about it, like, Shino would have been a perfect addition for the Sasuke retrieval team the first time around because of what his beetles can do. Those beetles he uses for his jutsu, and the fact that we know that there are Aburame jutsu that using those bugs can paralyze people. Like, that is the ultimate stealth move. That is what a ninja is supposed to do. And when you look at his databook stats, not the Boruto databook stats that everyone's so up in arms over, because clearly those stats are busted, but when you look at what Kishimoto was doing in the 8 guides that Kishimoto did, so that would be the 6 data books that he did for Naruto when you include the movies, and the 2 art books that he did. When you look at that, Shino has a very diverse skill set, and he has different advantages and different strengths when it comes to hand seal speed, when it comes to stamina. He has a bunch of different ways that he can impact a battle. And while I do think that it was very interesting to have Shino become a teacher, and in the Naruto Hiden novel, Perfect Day for a Wedding, you get a really good series of paragraphs where you get the internal monologue of Shino, and it tells you why he decided to be a teacher. And the Boruto anime early on in the Academy arc, early on in that, you know, they kind of built on what you got. And while I do think that the Boruto anime took steps, probably in the first, 24 episodes? That should be about right, 24 episodes. That should be episode 24 where Kakashi tested the genin. In the first 24 episodes of Boruto, we saw Shino make progress and we saw him become more relatable. And yet, at the same time, it's just like, what has he done battle-wise? What has he done battle-wise? Like, even in the war, like when everyone started fighting against those Jubi clones, while it was badass to see Shino step up and fight in that moment, I mean, at that point, it was like Kishimoto was just shoving in the progress of all the members of the Konoha 11 all throughout the place. And when you look at the hundreds of chapters before that, there was no development of Shino. Shino had no huge fights. And in a battle shonen, one of the best ways to determine a character's growth is to give them that key battle. And I know Naruto Shippuden had filler scenes and everything, like with Shino versus the guy who was in Danzo's root organization, or for the anime viewers, that would be the Foundation. And yet at the same time, it's like that didn't happen in the manga. And you guys know how I feel about Naruto filler. I can't stand Naruto. I can't stand it. Granted, I haven't seen all the Naruto filler, but the filler I've seen, I can't stand. Like when Shino's biggest moment in the Naruto anime, not Naruto Shippuden, but in the Naruto anime, Shino's biggest moment after the whole fight with Kankuro turns out to be the whole mission where he's the leader for that Laughing Shino episode. Get out of here. Get out of here. That is such a huge disappointment, man. It's such a huge disappointment. And I really feel as if when you look at what happened in Shippuden, I really felt as if the Akatsuki should have been used as opportunities to test each of the members of the Konoha 11. And the reason why I say that is look at how they were taken down. Well, let's just say Konoha 12. Let's include Sasuke in there. So when you look at it, Sasuke took down Itachi. When you look at it, you had Team 10 fighting against Kakuzu. You had Naruto, who ultimately took down Kakuzu and ultimately took down Pain. You had Shikamaru, who had a whole character arc that was driven by Hidan's action. Like, you could have given a battle against someone like Conan where he was legitimately pushed. What if you had a scene where Conan takes out Shino's fathers and Shino has to fight her? Given his insects can sense out chakra and everything, and Conan can break her body up into origami and into paper, what if you had that moment where Shino was tracking her down? That would be something that'd be really, really cool. Like, we definitely need that moment. Even with Team Guy had their brief moment where they fought against Kisame, and yet it was ultimately Mike Guy who took down Kisame. What if you had that moment where it was Neji and Rock Lee and Tintin who were fighting against Kisame and they're able to get the upper hand, where the first time they fought, they essentially held back Might Guy, whereas this time they're the ones who were the victors? What if you had that moment where it was Shino who fought against Kisame and it was Shino who overcame this monstrous beast, this guy who had so much chakra that he was called the tail beast without a tail, a guy who could absorb chakra? Well, where else do we see that ability from? Oh, we also see it with Shino's beetles, where they can suck away at your chakra. What if you saw those two elements clashing, where the whole time Kisame, after he fuses with Samehada, thinks he's siphoning off the chakra from Shino, and yet Shino had a bug placed on Kisame and was eating away at Kisame's chakra? What if you introduce some strange Aburame jutsu? Like, there are so many potential outcomes that come with a character like Shino, because there's so many different discrete ways that he can go into a battle against you. Like, that's probably my biggest gripe with Shino. And even in the Boruto era, when you look at everything that we've gotten from him outside of the teaching stuff, like, we haven't really seen Shino cut loose. And I get it, he's in a teaching setting, and yet at the same time, when you look at some of the threats that have taken place, what if we're on that field trip arc and instead of Chojuro being the one who steps in, what if it's Shino who fights alongside Chojuro and we get to see Shino cut loose? What if we actually saw that? He could have came in handy during that fight. But I want to know what you guys think. Which arc in Boruto do you think that presented Shino the best opportunity to step up and show us what he's done since then, since the end of the Naruto manga? And then if you're someone who who prefers the Naruto manga over the Boruto series. At what point during the Naruto series do you think that Shino should have been given an opportunity to shine? I'm very interested to hear you guys' comments, but as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching all the way into the end. Have an incredible day, guys.